Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be a full face makeup look with products in my Shop My Stash. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be doing a full face makeup look to get ready for my day. It is a Sunday. I will be filming other videos, going to see my parents later this afternoon, and I just thought I could come on here to do a chatty get ready with me, throwing some makeup up on my face to give you a realistic idea of what my current makeup routine is like. So let me just get to it. So I always start off by putting on my little headband. This was free as a gift with purchase in a Kiko order once, and I love it. It's keeping my hair out of my face really nicely. And then I go in with lip balm. This is the CO Bigelow, my favorite lip balm, and I was trying to use it yesterday, and I could barely get this to come out, so I actually think it may be gone. There it is, just a little bit. And this way my lips are going to be primed and ready to go once I get to my lipstick. So another first step I then do is to prime my face. I'm currently using the Kosas Glow IV. This has been lovely, but when I tried to look this up for my review to be able to link it for you, I actually found out that it's being discontinued. So a lot of the shades are no longer in stock. So I don't think that this is going to be a product a lot of people loved. I think it's really nice. It's hydrating, but it's very shiny as well. This is promoted as one of those like Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter type of products, but as you can see, this is very glowy. So if you don't like looking like the Tin Man, you'll probably won't be liking this. But I like it because it does have a little bit of coverage already, and I feel that it, because of how reflective it is, it's really good at sort of giving you a very airbrushed look, and it minimizes the look of any sort of texture you might have on your face because of it. And especially if you have, like, I've got some darkness around some areas, and I feel it helps with that tremendously. So I'm sad to see this go. But yeah, there's other glowy primers on the market that I like just as much as this. I mean, this is very similar to the Catrice Soft Glam filter fluid thing that they're doing, and I really like that, and that has a little bit of coverage as well. I just don't think it's this shiny. Like, I've never tried a primer that has this much glow. Like, if you don't like a highlighted look, you won't like it. But yeah, it's hydrating. It works really well under makeup, so I've been liking that quite a bit. So just finishing off my forehead here. And then my next step would be to apply my first eyeshadow primer. This is the NYX HD eyeshadow primer. I like this well enough. My favorite is actually the Milani one, so I'll probably go back to something like that. But Catrice No Essence has come out with a new eyeshadow primer as part of their fall-winter update, so I would be curious to see how that is in long-term use. This is running low, so with eyeshadow primer though, even if you think they're running low, you could still have 2 months of product left, but I think I can use this up before the end of the year. And then we're going in with foundation, and this is the new cushion foundation from Essence. This is the Brighten Up cushion foundation. I have mine in shade 02 Ivory, and this is okay. It's not my favorite cushion foundation. I've tried many. I actually did an entire trial with cushion foundations last year in 2024 from Asian beauty brands, I have to say, and it's good to see Western makeup brands doing products like this again, because cushion foundations can be so helpful on the go. But I find that I already have to like press this in so hard to get the amount of product that I would like to get each time I move my pad into that product. So it's like any cushion foundation, prone to be gone, like just you being able to use it up super quickly. But it's got nice coverage. It looks really pretty. It works really well with this primer as well. I've been wearing it all week. I have no issues with the wear time of this. Like, it's a pretty foundation. I really like the way this looks. But as with any sort of cheaper foundation I've ever tried in my life, the shade is not perfect. This, like, it looks okay now. I need to pull it down a little bit down my neck just to make it blend a little bit better, because that's my issue. My neck is far more pink toned than this foundation is. It's a little too yellow for me, and that's just the story of my life. So if you also struggle with that, then maybe skip the Essence Cushion foundation. And to someone, like, on my first impression, I actually got a comment saying that this looks patchy. It's because of the little pad. I find it very difficult with this pad to get it to go on even. So that's why I do go in once I apply my concealer to use a brush to sort of even things out. So it's not the product, it's the way you're applying it in this case, because the pad that this comes with is really, really stiff, and it also soaks up a lot of the product. So yes, this isn't looking the most even or the most perfect foundation ever, but that's because of the application method. I'm now going to go in with my concealer and a big fluffy brush, and that's going to allow me to settle like any lines where the pad has left its indentation. So here's my Tower 28 swipe on concealer, and I'm not sure if you can see, but I have high hopes that this is something I can use up in the next couple of weeks, because I'm starting to see where it is actually going down. Like the minute I pull this applicator out, there's all these lines on the sides, on multiple sides of the tube. So I'm thinking that we're running out, which is a good thing, because Tower 28 products can be very, very prone to expiring. So I'm just going to go over the areas where I want a little bit more coverage. And then I'm just going to use a brush and bounce it around. And that's going to even out everything. Also from the foundation where it's not perfect. So I have found with that foundation that it's just best if you do go in and sort of even it out. And then I grab my powder. This is the Kosas Air Set, whatever. Powder. It's in the shade Airy. I know that much. I'm very surprised with how this hinge hasn't broken, because that's, I know, an issue for a lot of people with this packaging. I got hard pan the first month using it, and now that I've scraped the hard pan off, you can see that a lot of the hard pan I had is disappearing, and I haven't developed any new hard pan on this. So it seems to be the top layer of this product is just a little bit like dry, or like a slightly different texture. And I'm just using it with this small angle brush just to put it in the areas where I need a little bit of powder. And that's it. That's all I do for powder. If I go powder all over the face, it doesn't look good, unfortunately. My next step is usually brows, so that I can give the face a little bit of time to settle down. And I'm going to go in with my little brow product here. This is the Soap and Glory eyebrow brush. No, Archery brow pencil. Why am I messing up names today? I'm not sure whether I'm fully awake yet, even though it's already past 10 o'clock. It's my day off. My brain is very much in weekend mode. But yeah, I've been using this pencil for years. It's great at just filling in sparse areas. Some people have been commenting that my look tends to look dark. I'm using, like you can see this pencil going into my brows. All I'm doing is filling in some sparse areas, and this color is the exact color of my brows. I'm not darkening them up. I'm just filling in some areas where my brows are a little bit more sparse. I've been letting my brows grow out. When I got back from vacation, my brow lady was still on vacation, and I just haven't been able to book in a appointment yet. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to see what these brows are going to do for the next couple of months, because they're getting a little bit thicker and I actually like that look. So I'm not going to mess with my brows too much, I've decided, and sort of wait until Christmas time and then reassess. Like, do I want to perhaps do a bit of tweezing myself, or do I want to get them done? So the way I usually get them done is with the string method. So they like pull out your hairs with a piece of string. That's been like the least painful I find. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to see. Essence Make Me Brow. This again is very much the exact shade of brow hair that I have. It just fluffs them up a little bit and makes sure they are staying in place. So I'm not adding a huge amount of color here. I'm just trying to make them behave, you could say. But yeah, this is actually what my brow color is actually like. If my brows were the same color, like through from start to finish, which they're not. I have blonde hair naturally, and I have the same thing with my lashes. Like the base of my lashes is black, but the tips of my lashes are blonde. So that's why when I put mascara on, I look all of a sudden like I've got a lot going on because my dark, like the lightest part of my lashes is actually at the tips of my lashes, but I have naturally really long lashes. Like they go up to my brow when they're at their fullest. They fall out, of course. I mean, they're lashes. It's like any sort of hair, but I feel the same way about my brows. Like a lot of the hairs in the tail are just really blonde, which is why you don't see them. But then that bit in the middle that's darkest, that's what I match the rest of my brow to, and that's why it looks darker. But this is my exact shade of brow color that I've already got going on naturally. Moving on to bronzer, I have been using this Butter Like bronzer from Catrice, which is in their new collection. And I've been using the top one mainly because I feel that the bottom one is a little bit too light for me right now. I think the bottom one, which is the contour shade in this duo, is going to be better for me in the winter time. So I'm just using a stipple brush with this, and then that's what I do with most of my bronzers. So what I have found with this bronzer though is that it can be really intense the first time you apply it to your face. So you really need to determine where you want most of the product to be, because I feel that when I like stipple it on, it kind of like sticks down there and then I can blend it. But if I've made the mistake a couple of times where I started too close to my cheek and then that's where most of the product ended up. So I need to be very careful with my placement with this product, but it blends well. It's a really beautiful shade. It works well for my complexion, and I like the way this looks. Like you can see that it goes on a little bit patchy at first, but then you sort of keep blending and then it's fine. And then I have another new Catrice product for you. This is the Catrice Aura Glam Balm Highlighter. This has been my favorite one of the two. I put in both of the highlighters that I put in my Catrice First Impression, but this one has been my favorite. It's just the easiest to apply. You just pick up a little bit with your fingers and then you tap it on, and it's been really, really beautiful with a lot of the different blush options I've been selecting for my Shop My Stash this month. Like this shade goes with all of the different colors that are in my current blush selection, you could say. So there is that color. And then because I want to do something pretty neutral on the cheeks color wise, I'm gonna go in with my little Peripera Syrupy Talk Cheek. That's what this is called. It's in shade 4. I picked this up while I was in Japan, and this has such weird packaging. So it's a little like dome here that you twist off. I've kept the little thing in its spout because I'm afraid that it's going to leak everywhere. And then it actually has like a soft area here in the back, and that's what you need to like press down on a little bit to get a couple of drops of product. This is quite a sheer formula. It's K-Beauty, so they're usually not the most impactful formulas in the sense of color and pigmentation, but it's really beautiful for a very natural, dewy look. I really love the formula for that from that perspective. Here's what the shade looks like. It was called something like Mauve something. And then I just, again, use it on my fingers because that's how I like to apply liquid and cream products anyways, the best. And then I just tap it on with my fingers. And yes, I apply creams and powders together. It really doesn't make much of a difference nowadays, I feel. I felt like when I first got into makeup more than a decade ago, it really mattered how you layered your powders and your cream products. But nowadays, I'm like, it's fine. And because I wear so many like cream and liquid products on my cheeks, I tend to not powder them just to be safe rather than sorry, you could say. So there's no powder in this area at all. And now I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. I have a little bit more here. And there. And that is the blush all done. I really love this color for me. Like it's really natural on my cheeks. So those are the cheeks done, which means we're moving on to eyes. And for eyes, I always double prime my lids in case you didn't know. I go in with a MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly as my second primer. And the reason why I do this is because I have quite a bit of redness on my, like everywhere on my face, also on my lids. So I want something that is going to even out the shade of my lid, but that's also going to give me a grippy texture for the shadows to really stay down. It's why I use the first primer. I find that the paint pot by itself is too creamy. It's also why I don't like using concealers. I haven't found a single one that can deal with this level of natural crease going on. I have deep set eyes, I have a little bit of a hood, so creasing is a thing I would like to prevent. And I have just found that this method really helps me in order to not like have the most longevity out of my shadows, no matter the formula. So I just use it on my finger and apply a little bit, again, fingers, because I feel I can shear it out better. This is quite a stiff formula. I think that's why it works for me. I feel most concealers are just too emollient and creamy, and they all crease on me. I would have to find a very mattifying one. And this, it gets the job done. It's a bit like, you know, the new MAC Lip Erase that they've launched, which is this sort of product, but for your lips. So if that's something you're also like interested in, then it can be worth trying products like that that are specially made for that. Now, I know a lot of people want their base to be grippy, so you could leave it here if you want to. I don't like a grippy base for my shadow because I feel it doesn't blend as easily. So that's why I like to use a little bit of a skin tone, like skin colored single shadow. This is in the shade Orb by MAC. And I keep thinking I'm going to hit pan on this. I'm not sure if the camera picks it up, but there's a huge crater in this thing already, so I'm hoping I can use this one up before the end of the year as well. So I just use a super fluffy brush to make sure I get the least amount of product, and it's just to make sure that this primer sets down. So I don't do a super thick layer, and I just feel that things blend onto it a little bit more easily. And I feel like some people say don't do this because it messes with the pigmentation. Don't do this step. I struggle with blending, and I prefer a more blended look than a look that is super intense in pigment. Pigment can always be built up. You can always add more, but you cannot take away. That's something to bear in mind, in my opinion. And I'm going to be using my Cozy Café from Sydney Grace that I will have shown you in my latest haul video. Here is what the color story looks like. I already did a look with these green tones. So now I'm doubting, like, shall I go for the pink and like really commit, or shall I do the more cool tone one at the bottom? I think I'm going to do the pinks because that is a very intriguing row to me, and I think they're going to work together quite well. So I think I'm going to go for this middle row here to set up this look. And here again, I'll go a little bit more in depth than I normally do with my eyeshadow. I have this little color switch thing from Catrice that I picked up years ago. It's a quick and easy brush cleanser, and what it is a little sort of sponge-like thing. You know when you have like a sponge that has a scouring side and like the soft side? This is a little bit like a very soft scouring side on a cleaning sponge. I've seen people do DIYs for products like this where they've taken the scouring part of a sponge and put it in a pot and called it a day. So I think you can make this really easily yourself. But what it is, I've already used this MAC 217 for my shadow yesterday. So you just twist your brush into it and it takes the powder off of your brush. So even though it doesn't look clean, because this brush, like, this is the color of the brush hairs of this brush when it's clean, but it takes the powder off, so it's not going to mess with any other shadows that I'm going to put on. So I always use this little scouring pad, you can say, to clean my brushes in between applications so I can keep like using them for longer without having to wash them properly. So I'm going to start with that medium pink, so the darkest pink, and I'm going to put that in the crease. So I know a lot of people say when you have hooded eyes, don't pull your eyebrow up, don't close your eyes, but I like a blended look, so I actually want to start in that hollow bit and then blend up to get the most seamless look. That's just the way I like to do it. You don't have to, but I feel that if I go in with this much product on my brush and then try to apply it, I get way too much product in an area that I don't want to accentuate. So find what works for you. I'm of the opinion that you should work with the features that you have rather than against it. And a lot of the makeup tutorials that I see for hooded eyes are recommending you to do things that if I've tried them on myself and I just don't find it flattering. So it's just not the kind of look that I want to do. So what I like to do is I first apply it to that hollow, and then I will start buffing it up and out. Because if I open my eyes now and look in the mirror, I can see a haze of color starting to come up in that area. So I do want to bring it up a little bit. So I sort of just use it as a guide, you could say. So I'm going to intensify just a little bit right on that edge, because that's where my crease ends when I open my eyes and look in the mirror straight on. And that's why I like having this little mirror here, because if I look down into this, I create a lot more space for myself than when I'm looking into a mirror head on. And then I just sort of keep blending it up, but because my brows have now like grown exponentially, I feel I have less space than I normally do. That's actually one of the reasons why I get my brows done, is to create more space, because my brows come so low down. You can't see it here on camera, but I've got brow hairs growing as low as right above that fold. So if I don't do anything about it, you could say, but I just think they need to be reshapen a little bit. So it's better to let them grow out every once in a while for me, and then sort of start from scratch, because I feel like every time I get them done, they take a little bit more out, and I end up with these really like skinny brows, which I don't really feel suits my face. So once I get that where I want it to be, I check it in the mirror, and now you can see that there's this really nice hazy look. And I'm going to cover up most of that with shimmer anyways, because there's a really beautiful like peachy pink shimmer in this that I'm really excited for. So then I've applied it on this side. I don't know why, but on this side I always manage to blend it up higher than I do on the other side. So then I just sort of look straight ahead in the mirror I have here, and then I just sort of blend it up a little bit more to match the shapes up just a little bit. So now that that's done, I'm going to take my next brush. This is an old Zoeva 224 Luxe Define Crease brush. And now I'm going to take the light pink that is right next to this medium pink. And I'm just going to, this is a super fluffy brush, but it's great at like blending out that shade a little bit. And it's great as like a brow bone highlight sort of thing. So I always have eyeshadow going up all the way to my brows, even if you don't really see it in a lot of the pictures, because a lot of these shades are too light. Because I don't apply them in a very concentrated way, you don't see it, but it just adds a little bit more of a blend to whatever crease shade I've got going on. Then I'm going to take my Sigma E55, and then I'm going to go in with that peachy pink shade, which I'm just picking up a little bit. I mean, this is a Sydney Grace palette, so these are like not the most impactful shimmers of your life. So I always just start on the mobile lid, and then I just push it up a little bit towards that crease. Then I move, like I turn the brush around with the side where I applied the shimmer, and I continue pushing it up into that crease, pretty much covering up most of my crease shade. And then you'll see in a second what I continue doing there. Because now what I do is that I take my fingers and I'm going to intensify the shimmer. I just pick up a little bit of the shimmer on my finger. I start in the middle, but I start above the fold and I pull down. And that way I sort of feather it first towards my inner corner, and then I feather it into the outer corner. And then I sort of assess that doesn't look super blended, so I'm going to take my MAC 217 and whatever is left of that crease shade, and I just blend the top. So there's a little bit more concentration of the shimmer in the inner corner than there is on the outer corner, so that this remains the deepest part of the look, and then this is already a little bit highlighted. That's just what I like to do. So again, picking up a little bit of shimmer on my finger, starting in the middle, just pulling down, and I keep doing that until I reach the inner corner, and then I sort of use my finger to blend, and I pull it into that outer corner a little bit just to intensify it on the mobile lid. Grab your crease brush and blend the top part of that shimmer so that it meshes with your crease shade and that you don't see where the shimmer starts and where the crease shade starts. And that way you get this really diffused, what some of you have called whimsical look. I do this every single day. So I don't even have to think about it, you could say. And then I go in with a small angle brush. This is really old. I have it from Hema, but any small angle brush will do. And I'm using the darkest shade, whatever is the darkest shade that I want to use for the look. See, and what's so great about this is that you can use it to tap off your excess because it has a bit of a rim, so I always use it that way as well. And then I just use that as liner. So even if you have really light skin and you struggle using blacks, or like this is more of a grayish brown, it's more like a deeper taupe. So this isn't super dark, but I always use them as liner. It gives a little bit more oomph to my look. And the best part about using an eyeshadow that's deeper as your liner is that you can fix mistakes so easily. Like if this becomes too intense, I will just put a little bit of the shimmer on my finger again and sort of tap it into the inner corner and lighten it that way. And that way the liner will look blended and all that. You can smudge this out if you want to make it more smoky. Like there's so many options. I feel you don't need like a pencil or a liquid liner to do eyeliner. You can just use your shadows. Most eyeshadow palettes are just deep enough for me to be able to give me that little bit of intensity along the top lash line that I prefer. Now, I'm not a huge fan of pinks like this on my lower lash line that can make me look a little bit tired. So I'm actually going to use that deeper taupe shade I just used as liner on this pencil brush. This is from Hema again, that I bought a couple of years ago. This is a great brush for going underneath the eye. So I'm going to try and do this with my eye open. But you just start at the outer corner and you just sort of line your lash line with it. So I go in with a little bit more just to match them up. Again, I check it in the mirror to see if I'm happy with it. And then I'm going to go in with another pencil brush. This is so old that the name has rubbed off. I believe it was like the E30 from Sigma. That's how long I've had it. But I just use this for my inner corner. And there is a stark white here. Yeah, it's just a matte white. So I'm just using whatever the palette gives me here. But yeah, I'm not usually a fan of a matte inner corner. I like there to be a little bit of shine, but like I said, I'm working what the palette is with what the palette is giving me. And this is okay, it's pretty. So it looks like a straight up stark matte white, but when the light hits it just right, there's this really small hint of a little bit of pink, and it's got a minute bit of sheen to it, which I had not expected just from glancing at it in the pan. So here is the color story again. So this is in the crease. This is what I used to blend it out. This is the shimmer all over lid. This is in the inner corner. This is the liner and the lower lash line shade. Super quick, super easy. I can whip this together if I don't give you an explanation in like under 5 minutes. I do the same thing every day. I know I'm boring, but this just works for me. It makes me feel pretty and it's easy to do. Setting spray is next for me. This is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh setting spray. And I like to do this first because if I do it after mascara, my mascara has to be completely dry. And I've put this routine together so I can do this in under 15 minutes if I have to get to work. So any sort of step that requires me to wait even longer just for a mascara to dry, I'm not going to do. So this, yes, there's a little bit of setting spray on my lashes, but I feel that if I do setting spray first and then mascara, my mascara doesn't smudge as much. So there's that. This is the new Catrice tubing mascara that I've been testing out. I've also tried the Essence one already a couple of times, but I like the brush wand on this one a little bit better. And they are indeed really easy to remove. I've done a workout that was really sweaty. Wearing this mascara, and I didn't look like a raccoon at the end of it, which was also great. I do think you have to be very careful with this if you are someone like me who gets teary-eyed and therefore sometimes wipes your eyes. I feel I lose half my mascara over the day because of it. And I do then get these little sticks of mascara because this is a tubing mascara, so it comes off in little like tube-like shapes. So that's been a downside, I feel. And what I've also noticed is that if I get very allergy prone and my eyes get very teary and sensitive, I can sort of feel the tubes sitting on those lashes, and that's not a great feeling. I've actually had itchy eyes several times already wearing this. I think my eyes are getting used to the sensation now, but especially the first times I wore this, because I have such sensitive eyes, you could say, I could really feel it, and I could feel the little like tubes just like sitting there, and it was just the worst feeling ever, and it made my eyes super itchy. So if you have very sensitive eyes, maybe don't use this. If you wear contacts, maybe not wear a mascara like this, because these little tube things can get in your eye, and that can be an irritant if that's something you're struggling with. I've been liking it okay, well enough, but I also feel this doesn't do enough for my lashes. I need a little bit more oomph to really coat them and separate them and get the look that I want. I actually feel this makes my lashes look super spiky and short, which they're not, because it's sort of like dragging my natural curl down. I don't curl my lashes because, as you can see from this hair, I've got naturally wavy hair, and that translates to my lashes too. They just go like this anyways. And that brings me to the final step. I did lip balm at the start, so it's completely gone now because I've been talking so much, but usually I grab my tissue and just take off the excess, and then I go in with my lipstick. This is the Lisa Eldridge Velvet Muse lipstick from her Velvet Matte range. Yes, this is how much I have left. Look at that. I've decided that I'm going to try and see if I can use it up this year. And then, see, and again, someone commented saying that they thought this lipstick was too dark for me. It's almost the same color as my natural lip color. It's just a little bit warmer. And there is that lipstick on my lips. And then this is the overall look we've gone for. So that is the full face makeup look all done. I'm not entirely sure in what order I will be uploading my videos this week, but this could be the first time you're seeing this look, or maybe if you're seeing the same shirt with the same look a couple of times this week, then you know exactly what look is going on there. I just thought it could be good to do a more in-depth version of my everyday get ready with me routine, because I haven't updated you guys on this in a while. Usually I chat about other topics while doing my makeup, but I just thought that going over some of the techniques I like to use and the things that I do to create my makeup looks would be helpful for some people. So thank you so very much for joining me here today. I hope this video was helpful to give you an idea of what my makeup is like on a day-to-day basis. And then I really, really hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, that you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to subscribe and see more by me, then you can. So leave a comment down below on what your makeup routine is like. I would love to know. And then I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video. Bye-bye.